Happy March Madness Day.
Yeah, Creighton won, so that fucking sucks.
You
I
did
had
that out
them
of
losing.
spite.
I
You
think I
did that
had
out of
Louisville
spite.
going 2 rounds deep.
Ugh, that's a tough call. Right out of the gates, disappointment. Oh, but you're looking at one of the only perfect brackets in America left so far after 3 games.
Cool.
All right, so today, Greg, I would like to ask you about insurance and how it works or what happens when you reshop for insurance. Like we tell people all the time to help them save money. You
hmm
actually choose one, go forward with it. Can you talk about refunds and the mail you might get and how to anticipate doing what? And I got a refund check today because I switched insurances and reshopped and got big savings thanks to you. Shout out. But what do I do with this check? Why did I get this check?
So, what I tell clients, and I don't even know if it's correct because we don't know understand escrow accounts or mortgages or anything like that. But what we've always been told and what we tell clients is take that check and put it right back into your escrow account. That way, there's not a shortage because you're paying based off of what they allotted for. And so they're missing money from that check, or I don't even know how it's calculated, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and lie.
I can
But
I can give a snippet. So it's all based on the escrow analysis that they do once a year. And so they'll take what your insurance is. They knew what mine was going to be before it even renewed. So how far out do insurance companies issue renewals?
typically 45 days.
So coming up on it, it was right around that time. But my escrow analysis and like I went on my portal for my loan payment, my loan servicer, and it knew what my new renewal payment was going to be, which was, in my opinion, way too high. And it turns out I got a better deal somewhere else by over $1,000 a year. So obviously, reshop, reshop, reshop. Um, that's one way to help in this crazy environment. But they already had accounted for the higher renewal as if I was not going to reshop. And then they tell me I have a shortage because they didn't collect enough to cover for that a new additional of the
hmm
renewal. And then you have to not only cover for the additional of the renewal, but also more to cover going forward as well. So you got to cover the shortage and the future cushion. So that's why there's always shortages. And the same thing happens with taxes. But that's how they do it. And they already knew about the higher number in my servicer already. So as soon as that number comes out, they send it to the servicer first.
Yeah, because they're the ones paying it. So they're going to get that bill well ahead of your renewal date. A lot of people get frustrated because they're like, well, my mortgage company already paid it. And it's like, yeah, great, because they're the financial interest in that. It's getting billed to them. You don't get to dictate when they pay it or don't pay it.
Yeah.
You just get punished if they don't, which is a whole nother thing we can dive into at some point. We've got, we're going to live at least 5 more years, so we can talk about it later. But I always recommend just because escrow accounts are finicky to me. I don't fully understand them. I mean, you have a better understanding of them, but you also went through it too with your own home recently. It's better to get that refund check directly from your mortgage company the next year that they give that escrow analysis than having to deal with the shortage and not knowing where the money went, where it's coming from. So I always recommend just put it right back in there. Um, Now, you don't
Yeah.
have to. If you need the cash, I'm not here to tell you don't take that, 4 grand that they refunded you and go do what you want with it. But don't be mad when you're short again, because that money was supposed to be in that escrow account for you. They'll pay you your money back. So Alex and I, we got a 900 and something dollar refund from our mortgage company after we lowered our insurance premium. So we put our refund back into our escrow at the end of the year, and there's some tax implications in there as well because our taxes changed. We got a refund back from our mortgage company, and I felt more secure in that than getting it from our insurance company and not knowing what to do with the money. Let's just put it back in there. We're already expecting to pay this. We're going to overpay. We'll get the refund. at some point. It's just a matter of when you're going to get it. You will get it, just when you'll get it is different.
Yeah, I think that's sound advice. In my case, I got refunded quite a bit more than what I'm going to need.
Hmm.
So I might have a decision. I can take a gamble. I can withhold some and put some other back towards it. But what I'm going to do instead is option three, other,
Shreveport.
and and fight. I don't know what you say.
Shreveport.
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm going to put it all on March Madness.
Yeah.
I put in a request for a friend to make a parlay who's in Vegas right now. I believe that request got denied, but I'm gonna be really upset when that $5 bet was going to come back as $2,000, and I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
So, but the it was a sure thing. Um,
Hmm.
but what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to fight the escrow companies just like I did for my rental property last year for my personal house now. And so I'm going to say, I think your escrow analysis is off. I have new insurance. You didn't take that into account. Also, I'm about to protest my taxes. And so that's a huge thing. And I'm going to take both of those things. I'm going to call them. I'm saying you did it wrong, and I'm going to get my mortgage overall payment to try to come back down.
Yeah. I mean, ours with our tax change and our insurance change at the end of 2024, our monthly mortgage payment has dropped back down to the original amount when we closed with you.
Yeah.
Um, so we're right back. I think we actually might even be like $10 less just due to
Right.
taxes and insurance. But
But that's why screaming from the rooftops, everyone, hello out there. This is not a set it and forget it thing, owning a
nope.
house. This is work. Owning a house is work. It doesn't just sit here and appreciate. And it's sure it's a piggy bank, but it's a piggy bank that you have to work. And just like we talked about a week or two ago with deferred maintenance, like you have to still fix stuff. You can't just let it go. Otherwise, the values and everything that we're calculating is way off base. And an insurance company might come in and say, whoa, actually, I'm not going to insure you at all. Or my quote is way higher now because I do see that deferred maintenance thing that obviously you've been ignoring. So this is not a
Yes.
set it and forget it thing. There are a lot of different factors to it. Pay attention to what's going on in your immediate surroundings and with your house and your bills, and you can stay ahead of the curve and you can stay ahead of the system.
Yeah, and to add on to your deferred maintenance thing, I don't know if you saw, I posted a video to Instagram yesterday of I'm not exactly sure who she is. I know I've seen her on a bunch of podcasts. She's a very successful realtor in the Atlanta area, um, and she was saying the biggest hurdle is roof age for
Yeah.
2025. And I read it and I watched the clip and I was like, apparently you haven't been paying attention to anyone in adjacent industries because you're 13 months, 15 months too late. That's been an issue since the beginning of 2024. The most common answer I ask, the most important answer I ask when somebody's buying a home or I'm looking at their insurance is, when was the roof replaced?
Well, yeah. And so that brings, again, this is another tangent we could go down. We won't. We'll try to keep it tight today. Uh, but as a real estate professional, well, you're an insurance professional. I'm a mortgage professional. Sure, I'm an investor, so maybe that's another little angle. But I'm not a realtor, and then vice versa. Realtors are not loan officers. They are not insurance agents. So they can absolutely help answer some questions and be a resource. But just know that that's not the license that they hold, and
Mhm.
be cautious of who you're taking advice from. I was listening to another podcast locally, Fort Worth people I don't know, but the realtor was quoting interest rates, and she's like, "Well, I got this rate," and obviously it's a marketing plug. It's a little fluffy, okay, but you don't know the rest of how that rate came to be. So I've had a couple different people lately go, "What's the rate today?" And I've harped on that a ton, where there's no the rate. It's what do you qualify for? Where does the market sit? And what are some
Mhm.
other factors? So just be really cautious of, as a consumer, for you 9 people that like to listen to our channel here, make sure you're listening to everyone, except what they say. It's just like sports. One coach might say something kind of off, but he has one thing that's kind of good, and another coach you love and can't do any wrong. You mesh it all together and do research and take it in, analyze it yourself. But just be careful about hearsay when it comes to these things.
Yeah, I mean, I would. There's different levels to that, right? It kind of it permeates through all industries. For you, it's rate. For me, we use the word premium, which is rate as well. And people, I had this conversation today after a networking group that I'm a part of. I tell clients all the time, I don't care what you paid last year. That doesn't exist anymore. So
Yeah,
kind of like it's very possible for you. You're like, well, we ran everything for you last month, but things changed.
yeah. But
That may
wait a
not
minute,
exist
Greg.
anymore.
But Greg, my neighbor, my friend from the bar, said that he got a 4.99 interest rate. Why can't I have a 4.99 interest rate?
Yeah, and I would say, well, why don't you have the same job? Why don't you have the same credit score? Why aren't you the same height?
Yeah.
Why does he have blue
Why,
eyes? You have brown.
why didn't you buy that only 4.99 new build in the DR Horton community that was left available? Why didn't you beat him to it?
Exactly. So it's about moving forward. Doesn't mean that because what you paid last year or what was quoted for you last month or last week or last quarter doesn't exist anymore. Doesn't mean that there's not possibly something better. And I say possibly with the biggest bold and italics you could possibly put by it, because there is a chance that something could be better, but it's likely that it won't. So don't go in thinking, I use the analogy when people argue car insurance with me, especially older, right? I say, well, what was gas when you turned 16? Well, it was $1.30. I go, what was gas today? Like 3.25. And I go, did you still drive today? You did. So
Yeah,
it just
things
is
change.
what it is. I'm sorry.
But that's why it's so important that we talk about escrow accounts over and over and over and over again,
hmm
because you cannot set it and forget it. You
Yeah.
have to adapt. You have to adjust. The rules change. The way these servicers change. The way they operate changes. Who is servicing your loan can change, and so there's so much that goes into it. That call me. I did your mortgage. Well, most companies out there, that's it. That's the last time you're going to hear from them.
Yeah.
And so, not us. Please ask us questions. If we didn't do your mortgage, call me. Let me ask you some questions. This is turning out to be a topic I have some passion around because I think it's kind of a messed up portion of the system, with how they calculate this and then totally screw people over. But also, I saw a loan officer I respect in our area post about taxes and like big shortages in taxes, and it's because of lazy loan officers, is how he put it. Absolutely the truth. If you squeeze something in to get a deal closed to help to just get a check, that's not advising, and that's not going to set you up for overall success. So we'll do that to help you close, but there's certain little tricks like that. But make sure you understand what that means come next cycle. And so all these little things are, each one of them is a 30-minute lecture speech, uh, with a lot of details.
Yeah. And the taxes one that you just mentioned is interesting to me because it's something that I never thought of until I had a real estate agent tell me this maybe about a year ago. Um, and I've seen many videos like you just referenced, just trying to squeeze in, get somebody qualified, just put the number on the board, hit your
And
bonus, whatever it
and
may
they use
be.
that as a sales tactic to referral partners.
Yeah, but what the realtor was telling me was she bought a new build, they built, but when they closed, their taxes were based on there not being a home on the
The
property.
land value.
And so then when they got their tax bill the next year, it went from like 800 to 4,000. And she was like, what the hell? Which is shame on her because she's in real estate. She should know.
That's number
But
one. But number two is, let's talk about monopolies and antitrust, because that lender was likely the new builds lender, and they forced her to use that lender so that
Mhm.
they could make some extra money on the transaction. Probably some fees in there. Got to take a look at the whole page here. See, yeah, discount here, but charges here. The discount's not as much as you think. That's 1A. But
Mhm.
then it's just so frustrating because if you would have called me and given me an opportunity to try to win that deal, I would have told you that that was going to be an issue. But because they pigeonhole you into using their service only, otherwise, sorry about you, these incentives don't work. you're not being taken care of on the buyer end. Everything is being taken care of on the seller slash builder end.
Hmm.
So that's my new construction soapbox right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes
Who's
towards
representing who?
that goes towards what me and you preach, being brokers in our respective industries, is as brokers, we don't work for anybody but you. We work for you. I don't obviously within reputation parameters and ease of use, we might have some preferences of who we like to work with in terms of companies, but at the end of the day, what's going to put the client in the best situation? I don't care if it's company A, B, or C. They're within my parameters of acceptability and professionalism. So I'm going to pick C, I'm going to pick A, I'm going to pick B, depending on whether or not it fits the client, not the
Yeah.
other way around.
And there's no question, I absolutely do not fit every case. I'm not going to win every case. There's some
Mhm.
products that are not the best things that I can do. A bank might do it better or something of that nature, but just make sure you have a full understanding of the topic. I've got another person out there using a very large nationwide veterans, style loan company, and I looked it up and I went through a lot of research for this person, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think this is going to work based on this fine minutia kind of detail here. They're like, well, I've got approvals at 5 other places. I'm like, well, best of luck to you then, because I can't do it. I don't want to set you up for failure. I think this is a problem. Check this out. Gave her as much information that I found, and then I might not win the deal, and I'm okay with that. If somebody else closes it, good for her. She gets a house. I don't think they're going to close it though, based on what my research shows. And
Right.
so there's a lot of people out there that are yes men that will say yes to anything to try to get a check and meet their internal sales metrics, because this is a Wolf of Wall Street style business sometimes, depending on what office you're in. Your job is on the line if you don't hit your metric. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that people don't really understand. And that's why a certain marketing tactic is happening. And so we don't care as much about that stuff. We're a lot more laid back. We don't need to hit as many metrics as some of the call center type of folks do. And so just understand who you're talking to, and just like the escrow stuff, understand who is out there and why they're doing what. They are literally just following a checkbox checklist system.
Hmm. Yeah, very much so. So yeah, I mean, it's super important who's in your corner, so to speak. Um,
And just because someone says they're a broker, ask a couple follow-up questions.
yeah, that's more.
Make
Yeah,
make sure they're
I've
really really advising you.
I've seen you have those conversations with people who say they're a broker, and it's super awkward to watch from the outside looking in. Um, but I understand why you do it because it's a misused term in certain industries for sure.
I just don't like people misleading people. So what you do is X. What I do is Y. Awesome. We both do the same thing though. We just do it in different ways. So
Yeah,
just tell the client the way that you are trying to help here, and don't mislead any details.
yeah, exactly. But
And then the client gets to choose for themselves whatever they want to do.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what I tell. Like when I talk to your clients, I tell them, regardless of whether you go with me or not, my ultimate goal is to make sure that you understand what you're getting, what you're not getting, and you feel confident with your decision.
Boom.
That's it. I said, I'm
Boom.
not always going to have the best option for you. And I'll tell you, if you can show me another option that's better, I will agree with it.
And those new builds that I just kind of talked down on, sometimes that deal is legit and it's fine. And they
Hmm.
did calculate the taxes right. So not everyone is that way. Disclaimer, there are some people who are trying to squeeze things in to meet those metrics. And then there are other people who work at those companies because the opportunity is great and their lead funnels are abundant and they do really well financially. And it's a good decision for them to work at those companies. And
Hmm.
they're a good company and there's a lot of good builders. And so just pay attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so escrow, anything else about these refunds? Because the other thing is, like, once I protest again, I'm going to send this new insurance in, tell them to do a new escrow analysis, recalculate my payment. Another, obviously it's not a set it, forget it thing. Well, that process is not going to happen in one call.
Mm-mm.
That's going to be a 2 month fight that I'm starting now again.
Yeah, and it's all based on, I always tell clients it's based on your risk profile and your timing. What when do you want this to get done, right? Because for me, I'm a little less proactive than you are in that sense. So I would get that refund check, I would protest my taxes, and then I would wait for it to correct at the end of this year, rather than me battle for 3 months and then it corrects
Yeah.
again when we have a renewal. But
See,
it all depends on when your home insurance renews as well.
I won't do it because I'm a butthead and I fight
Yeah.
the system as much as I can. But also, I won't do it because I don't want them to have a couple extra $100 a month out of my pocket, especially during March Madness season when I need to put that out to work for me.
Yeah. So everyone, I mean, everyone's different, right? It's all based on your desire of effort.
I,
Like, what do you want
I'm
to
I'm
do?
finally gonna get my 13 leg $100 parlay to hit, and I need that money.
It's never gonna hit.
It's gonna hit. I'm gonna
I was
be a
listening to
million.
someone talk about like the DraftKings like statistics, and they were saying like less than 1% of parlays hit.
And a parlay just meaning two.
Yeah, but they said that's like 90% of their bets are parlays that they accept and they take on. And so they're just racking in the money on
Yeah.
parlays.
One day, that's my dream. It's my dream to hit like a 10 plus legger for like $100 bet that
I blame social media because you're going to see that one guy that hit the 11 leg parlay, $100, pays him 30 million. You're
well,
like, that's
McAfee
possible.
show. One of the guys on the McAfee show had posted not too long ago about hitting like a $50,000 win on some, kind of anytime touchdown score type of parlay.
Hmm.
You're like, oh, those are so hard to hit. But then when they hit, you're like, of course they. Why didn't I bet that? Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to talk about mostly today was just how it works because we're in that season now with tax protesting and insurance renewals and all that kind of stuff. And so interest rates are kind of coming down. We might have some opportunities for some refis for some people. So as my final thought, I'd say rates are coming down, but they come down and up, down and up, down and up. So when they come down, if you like it, lock it. Stop messing around. Do not try to time the bottom of the market. So what
Yeah.
I'm telling my clients is I've got this tool they call strike rate. So what is the payment? How much do you want to save per month for you to want to move forward with the refinance? X dollars. Okay. As soon as the market gets down to whatever rate to meet X amount of dollars of savings a month, we got to move. Because yesterday the rates were down, this morning the rates were down. I'm getting alerts right now that the rates are worsening. So it's like this. It's just like the stock market, just like gambling. And so let's get down. It's just like buying a stock and
Hmm.
whatever level you want to buy it, and then it automatically buys it. We're kind of trying to implement a strategy like that where it's like, okay, you want X rate, it's there. Ready? All right, we got like 2 hours, you ready
Yeah.
to do this. But instead of having a rush like that, it's no, a week ago we talked about if it gets down to this rate, we're ready. So I'm calling you, it's there. Awesome. Thanks. Now we'll go. And so
Yeah.
call like that's more of the advising. Who are you working with? What kind of systems are there? Is it just about them getting a check and you never hear from them again? We dealt with a lender that sent us a closing gift. Like there's things going on that people do really well and can incentivize you. But we went to that lender not because they sent us closing gifts and give us free stuff. That lender was the right pricing and the right situation for that client. So obviously, I want to be incentivized by their gift and give them more and see what else I might be able to get. But that's kind of a tough mentality to be in because the next ones I get, I don't want to be sending them a deal just because they gave me a handout.
Right. Exactly.
So just know
Yeah.
that we're out there like we see all of it and I understand what's going on. So let me fight the battles for you because I enjoy it.
Hmm. And then also, it's important for consumers to understand if somebody gave you any sort of numbers, projection, estimates, and they are wrong, they are incorrect, it is something that would not actually work out, or they wouldn't actually issue it, or that rate was wrong, or it really wasn't a good deal, but you read it wrong, or they just sold it to you in a way that they lied to you. That does not now become the standard. So if somebody quote, I'm going to use your world as an example of if a lender's like, I can get you a 4.9 rate, and they show you on paper, and you just see it on paper, it doesn't mean it's true. So then that doesn't become your benchmark. You're now not supposed to be looking for a 4.9 interest rate everywhere because that may not have actually closed. It may not have been real. So be able to discern what is real and what's not real. If and in my world, if somebody is wildly underinsuring you and you're missing all these coverages and you want to save money, well, I'm going to put these things in there. I'm going to insure you correctly. It's not going to be cheaper. But what's
Well,
better? Actually
it's
having value for what you're paying for, or just paying for something because you think it's cheaper?
same exact thing the other day when I had a stack of papers this high that all said I could have $500 a year home insurance. That's not the benchmark now. I'm not calling you and saying, "Hey, I want that $500 a year, dude." Well, mine's no, it's 3,000. Well, no, 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 no. I got six offers right here at the 500.
Yeah, this will be my last thought. It'll be an example. I have a client that we reshopped him at the end of last year. Told him you're still in the best spot. Everything else is higher. Like, I think you're in a good spot. I know it's unfortunate that it's more than what you were paying the previous year, but there's really no better option out there. He ends up canceling his policy 2 months later, going with a different carrier. He calls me back 2 weeks ago, wants to reshop. I go, why are you reshopping? It's only 3 months into your policy. He's like, well, the rate went up. I go, well, that's not possible. He was like, well, they quoted me 1,600 and now it's like close to 4 grand. And I go, well, that's it. Someone lied to you at some point and you listened, and the rate was never actually 1,600. So I log into the system and I look, and it's always been the price that he's currently set at. And it's actually $500 more than what we had him at and told him he was still in a really good spot. And now he's upset because either he didn't listen or he was lied to blatantly and didn't realize it.
Yeah. And so as a consumer, just know that it's not your fault if you fall into a trap because you don't know what's real and not real. You don't do this every day. So you don't feel bad, don't be embarrassed, this and that and the other, but also don't get mad and pissed off and angry and like mean to people. Just call us that like people like us. It doesn't have to be us. It can be anybody that just gives a shit. And
Mhm.
ask some questions, dig in. Don't just accept anything for face value anymore, unfortunately. Just like underwriting does not accept things at face value, you should not accept sales at face value.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that should be a good stopping point, but good topics.
Yeah, nice. I think the Rangers have a good chance this year. Final thought.
I think so too. Gray being out 6 weeks with a broken wrist hurts, but I
He
think we'll
got
be
hit.
fine.
Oh, he got hurt the day before we got there, and then I took a picture and posted on my story of the starting lineups because Joey Gallo was on the other side, and then the game started and Joey Gallo was no longer on the other side. He got released after they wrote on that board and before the game started.
And now he's going to try pitching,
Yeah,
which I'm excited for. Put that
why
giant
not?
gorilla up there to throw as hard as he can.
They
I'm all
said he's
for it.
clocked at 98 before.
Yeah. He
From
can't read,
now,
but he can throw the ball hard.
great
So
attitude.
it'll be exciting. All right.
But yeah, that was wild. It's like, oh, Gallo, and then kind of mid inning, I get an alert on my phone. I'm like, yeah, I guess I really haven't noticed him hitting. He's because he's not on the team anymore.
And that's how quickly things can change when buying a home.
Boom,
Boom. That's what we call a callback. All
full
right. Well,
circle.
that's all we got. We'll talk more here in a second.